U.S. President Biden issues a one-word caution, don't, to Tehran as Israel's prepared for a possible barrage, says expecting Iran to attack Israel sooner than later. Russia and Kazakhstan battle worst, floods as major rivers burst banks. Authorities in Russian city calls for mass evacuation. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reiterated India's firm stance against cross-border terrorism, says terrorists don't play by any rules. They should not feel safe if they are on the other side. Well, on to the details now. U.S. President Joe Biden gave a stern message to Iran, which has threatened to take military action against Israel, is don't. Speaking to reporters at White House, Biden said his expectation was that an attack would come sooner rather than later. Biden also said his grim outlook was based on intelligence reports that he was not at liberty to describe further.
I don't want to get into secure information, but my expectation sooner than later.
Mr. President, to Iran in this moment?
Don't. We are devoted to the defense of Israel. We will support Israel. We will help defend Israel, and Iran will not succeed.
And amid the ongoing tension in the Middle East, several countries, including France, Poland and Russia, warned their citizens against travel to the region. Germany also warned its citizens to leave Iran, saying that there was a risk both of a sudden escalation in Tehran's existing tensions with Israel and that Germans might be at risk of arbitrary arrest in the country. Austria's foreign ministry followed Germany in urging its citizens to leave Iran in response to escalating tensions in the region. Austrian Airlines said it was suspending all flights from Vienna to Tehran until April 18th. Whereas French Ministry for Europe and Foreign Affairs also advised its citizens against traveling to Iran, Lebanon, Israel and the Palestinian territories. UK told its citizens to avoid all but essential travel to Israel and Palestine over the possibility of an attack on Israeli territory from Iran. And on the other hand, India on Friday issued an advisory urging its citizens not to travel to Iran or Israel following a sharp rise in tensions between the two sides. Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said, in view of the prevailing situation in the region, all Indians are advised not to travel to Iran or Israel till further notice. The Indian Embassy in Israel also asked Indian nationals in the country to avoid unnecessary travel, remain calm and follow safety guidelines issued by the local authorities. Well, the first trucks carrying food aid entered Gaza through the newly opened northern crossing point. Israeli army released a video of 8 trucks entering Gaza as Israel stepped up supplies following mounting pressure to ease the humanitarian crisis in the enclave. The military said the trucks which were bringing food into Gaza were inspected at the Karam Shalom crossing point on the border with Egypt before moving north to cross. Well, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has flat out blamed Donald Trump for the unraveling of abortion rights in the United States, calling the former president the architect of a healthcare crisis. She made the remarks during a fiery speech in Tucson, Arizona on Friday, just days after the state's top court upheld a law from 1864 criminalizing and banning nearly all abortions. As Tony Waterman reports, the issue is now front and center in a state that could decide who wins the White House in November.
Kamala Harris called Donald Trump out dozens of times during her 15-minute speech, saying the former president wants to take women back to the 1800s, and she called him the architect of this healthcare crisis. More than 20 states have now implemented abortion bans since Trump's conservative Supreme Court nominees overturned Roe v. Wade 2 years ago, eliminating the constitutional right to an abortion in the United States.
We all must understand who is to blame. Former President Donald Trump did this. During his campaign in 2016, Donald Trump said women should be punished for seeking an abortion. Don't forget that. He said women should be punished.
polls show that abortion is a top issue for voters this coming fall, and Democrats are hoping that bans like this one in Arizona will motivate voters to the ballot box come November. Arizona is a key battleground state, one that Biden won by just 10,500 votes in 2020, and what happens there could really decide the outcome of this year's election. And Donald Trump seems to realize that abortion could be a losing issue for him. On his social media platform Truth Social on Friday, he said the Arizona ruling went too far, that the law is inappropriate, and he told Republican lawmakers to act as fast as possible to remedy the situation. But ultimately, it could be voters who decide. Abortion rights groups in Arizona say they have collected enough signatures to get a measure on the ballot to amend the state's constitution, enshrining the right to an abortion and bypassing lawmakers altogether. Tony Waterman in Austin, Texas, reporting for DD India.
Well, a group of Myanmar junta troops that retreated from their base in Mayawadi to a bridge along the Thai border were attacked by resistance groups using drones. Thai armed forces conducted severe patrolling near the border with Myanmar after the incident. Thai Foreign Minister Bahid Danukara told early on Friday that no request had been received from the group of junta soldiers who had retreated to the border to cross Thailand. And the New York judge overseeing Donald Trump's hush money criminal case rejected the former U.S. president's bid to delay April 15th scheduled trial on the ground that substantial pretrial publicity would make the proceedings unfair. Trump had sought an indefinite delay, saying media coverage was prejudiced against him and finding an acceptable jury in Manhattan would be tough because the borough was overwhelmingly biased against him. But in a decision on Friday, Justice Juma Merchant said an indefinite adjournment for not tenable. And Russia and Kazakhstan battled rising water levels after major rivers across Russia and Kazakhstan burst their banks in the worst flooding seen in the areas in nearly a century. Authorities in the Russian city of Orenburg called on residents to evacuate immediately due to rapidly rising floodwaters after major rivers burst their banks due to a deluge of melting snow. Water was also rising sharply in another Russian region, Kurgan, and in neighboring Kazakhstan. The authorities said 100,000 people had been evacuated so far, so as rapidly warming temperatures melted heavy snow and ice. The deluge of meltwater has forced over 120,000 people from their homes in Russia's Ural Mountains, Siberia, and Kazakhstan as major rivers such as the Ural, which flows through Kazakhstan into the Caspian, overwhelmed embankments. And Russia's Orenburg is battling rising water as level of Ural River tops 11 meters. Meanwhile, local animal shelter in flooded areas now hosting over 350 animals. Volunteers from other regions have organized van loads of aid for the animals, but shelter director Yulia Babenko said she has received scant assistance from authorities. Earlier, regional authorities called for the mass evacuation of parts of Orenburg, which is home to 500,000 people. Although there's still a lot of ice on Yakutia's Lena River, local officials are working hard to stop potential ice dams and spring floods in the coming weeks. The goal is to force certain sections of ice melt faster than others, thus breaking the solidity of the ice cover. Deputy Director of Local River Agency said that with the help of blackening process, some parts of the ice cover are sprayed with a coal dust. Another widely used technique is cutting deep grooves on ice with chainsaws in shapes of diamonds. Local authorities said that the works that cost about 45 million rubles will be finished by April 20th. Well, UK has appointed a woman as High Commissioner to India for the first time. Former intelligence chief Lindy Cameron will take up the role this month. DD India's Oli Barrett reports for more from London.
On social media, Lindy Cameron said that she can't wait to get started and praised what she called the legacy of the man she replaces, Alex Ellis. He is being moved to another role in the UK's diplomatic service. The new High Commissioner will start this month, and she arrives as the UK and India continue to try and negotiate a free trade deal. Lindy Cameron comes from the intelligence sector most recently. She moves from a post as Chief Executive of the UK's National Cyber Security Centre Center. She's also held international development roles overseeing the Middle East and humanitarian issues as well. And between 2009 and 2010, she worked in Helmand in Afghanistan as part of a reconstruction team there. Before that, she'd also worked in Iraq, Vietnam, Nigeria, and the Balkans in Europe. Alex Ellis welcomed Lindy Cameron on social media to what he calls a lovely job in a fascinating, vast and diverse country. Ollie Barrett in London reporting for DD India.
Well, Hungary's allure as a filming destination is soaring among Indian filmmakers attracted by the country's iconic landmarks, low production cost and versatile settings. From Bollywood blockbusters to TV series and music videos, Budapest has been a backdrop for Indian productions looking for a European setting that will not break the bank. Pablo Gutierrez reports for more from Budapest.
Lights, camera, action. This is the latest Indian production shot in Budapest, Hungary. Some of India's most talented musicians are on the stage, ready for their close-up.
Everybody here, sound engineer, is very professional, very committed for the work, for the music. So we really like that attitude.
Playing the bansuri is in Padasnath's DNA. He is the third generation of Indian flute players in his family. Filming music videos in Hungary, he says, has given his productions a unique look that sets them apart from what's being shot in India.
Such a beautiful venue we are in, and it's pleasure for any artist. It's pleasure to be such a beautiful theater. It's sounding so amazing, and we are getting great shots for our video.
The man responsible for this 12-camera music video shoot has worked with some of Bollywood's biggest stars.
Our first biggest project was the name of the movie was Sultan, but one of the biggest actor, Salman Khan, was coming, and we will shoot with them.
And some of Hollywood's A-listers.
Yeah, with Steven Spielberg, the biggest one, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, Donald Sutherland.
Chutor says there has been an increased demand over the last couple of years from Indian filmmakers to shoot in Hungary. His company, Official Films, provides them with a film crew, equipment, location, and film permits, and manages the local budget of the shoot to ensure it gets done on time. From action-packed thrillers to traditional Indian music videos, Chutor's company has filmed 15 productions for Bollywood's market. He expects his business to keep growing thanks to the 30% tax rebate the Hungarian government gives to foreign productions to entice them to shoot in this country.
It's not just the economic incentives that are drawing more Indian productions to shoot in Hungary. It's also the variety of magnificent locations like this one that can be seamlessly transformed into any international backdrop.
And it's not just Chutor and his crew who have Hollywood experience. The orchestra playing along with the Indian musician has scored many Hollywood blockbusters at a fraction of what it would cost in London, Europe's main film hub.
And I think they realize it's maybe better to come here like to UK or to any other European country.
Last year, the Hungarian film industry set record earnings, reaching $700 million in profit. Currently, only the UK tops them in Europe. Production houses in Hollywood East, as film insiders now call Budapest, say great film locations are key for top-notch Bollywood flicks, and Hungary has plenty of them to offer. For DD India, Pablo Gutierrez, Budapest.
And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Election fever grips India, campaigning in full swing across the country. First phase of polling on April 19th. Promoting gaming industry in India, PM Modi interacts with top Indian gamers. And Indian Army released a video on the occasion of 40 years of Operation Meghdoot.
across the world have lost such perfect weather days to extreme temperatures and extreme weather events. We're just always hopping from heat waves, droughts, forest fires, to floods, hailstorms and cyclones, and then the cold wave.
Here the root cause is we are forgetting that our vernacular traditions have been climate friendly. Climate change is a new thing.
Yes.
None of us have dealt with it before.
People are not aware of the risk. They are unwillingly exposed to high level of air pollution, heat, both outdoor, indoor. So the first step definitely is that creating awareness among them.
Millions of liters of water flow down the Rhine. That covers Mannheim's heating needs several times over, even at such cold temperatures.
Rivers are squeezed into ever higher and narrow banks to give space to houses, industries, and agriculture. We need to reverse this approach.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Moving on, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with top Indian gamers. Prime Minister and gamers had a discussion over new developments in the gaming industry. They also discussed how the Modi government has recognized the creativity of gamers, promoting the gaming industry in India. They were also engaged on issues concerning gambling versus gaming while discussing women participation in the gaming industry.
Lord Vishnu and Maa Durga के गाइडेंस से अपने भाई को बचाएं.
Also, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reiterated India's firm stance against cross-border terrorism. Interacting with the youth at an event titled Why Bharat Matters, Opportunity for Youth and Participation in Global Scenario, Jaishankar said that the answer to terrorists cannot have any rules.
So, point is, something like Mumbai happens. And if you do not react to it, how can you prevent the next one from happening? And उनको ये नहीं लगना चाहिए कि भाई हम इस लाइन के उस पार हैं तो कोई हमें छुएगा नहीं. See, terrorists do not play by any rules. The answer to terrorists cannot have any rules.
Also, Indian Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Quatra on Friday concluded a two-day visit to Washington, D.C., United States. During his visit to Washington, D.C., Foreign Secretary Quatra undertook a detailed review of the progress made towards further consolidating the India-US Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. Foreign Secretary had discussions with his counterparts at the State Department Deputy Secretary Richard Verma and Deputy Secretary Kurt Campbell, as well as other senior officials. He also held discussions with key counterpart officials at the National Security Council, Department of Defense. These discussions spanned the entire gamut of India-US ties, growing defense and commercial ties, supply chain resilience, and contemporary regional developments. Foreign Secretary also had meetings with representatives of leading think tanks and chambers of commerce. The visit is in keeping with the tradition of regular high-level exchanges between the two countries and provided an opportunity to further advance a growing and future-oriented partnership. And now let's get you the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Well, in the 2024 general elections, Mizoram, which has one lower house seat, is going to polls on the 19th of April. Mizoram, which is India's second least populous state, has over 0.8 million voters, out of which 0.4 million are men and 0.4 million are women. Here's the report.
Literally translating to the land of Mizos, the northeast Indian state of Mizoram borders India's neighbors Myanmar and Bangladesh. Formerly a part of the Assam state, Mizoram was carved out as a union territory in 1972. It became a state in 1987. Blessed with hilly terrain, the state, which has its capital at Aizawl, spreads over an area of more than 21,000 square kilometers. Over 90% of Mizoram is covered by forest. Most of the state's population is tribal. At 91.8%, Mizoram boasts of a high literacy rate. In the 2024 general elections, Mizoram, which has one lower house seat, is going to polls on 19th April. Mizoram, which is India's second least populous state, has over 0.8 million voters, out of which 0.4 million are men and 0.4 million are women. The state is currently being governed by the Zoram People's Movement. Other prominent parties in the fray are the Mizo National Front, Congress, and the Bharatiya Janata Party. In the 2019 general elections, the lone Lok Sabha seat in the state was backed by the MNF. The 2023 assembly elections saw the ZPM come to power in the state for the first time. It now remains to be seen if the 2024 polls will spring up any surprises in Mizoram. Election Desk, DD India.
Well, Tripura and Manipur have 2 Lok Sabha seats respectively and both go to the polls in the first 2 phases of 2024 elections. Manipur opens a gateway to the northeast while Tripura is connected with India with only one national highway, that is NH8. The 2 northeast states have many subtext in this election. Why do they matter as India decides?
The northeast Indian state of Tripura is among the country's smallest and least populated regions. The state, which borders India's neighbor Bangladesh, is spread over an area of 10,000 square kilometers. Once a princely state, Tripura attained statehood in 1972 with Agartala as its capital. The rock carvings in Unakoti are among the state's well-known historic sites. In the 2024 general elections, Tripura, which has 2 Lok Sabha or lower house seats in the Indian Parliament, is going to polls in 2 phases on April 19th and 26th. The state has over 2.8 million voters, out of which 1.4 million are men, 1.4 million are women, while nearly 74 belong to the third gender. Tripura is currently being governed by the Bharatiya Janata Party-led National Democratic Alliance. The coalition also includes Tipra Motha Party. Other prominent parties in the fray are Communist Party of India Marxist and the Indian National Congress. In the 2019 general elections, the state's 2 Lok Sabha seats were backed by the BJP. The 2024 polls will not just be a contest between parties, but they will also put the state's newly formed alliances to test. Election Desk, DD India.
Well, a large cache of arms and ammunition was recovered by security forces in Jammu and Kashmir's Kupwara district. Based on specific information about the presence of terrorists in the area of Gangbug Forest, Kupwara, a joint operation was launched by Border Security Force, Army and Jammu and Kashmir Police, BSF Kashmir said. BSF Kashmir in a post on X said, based on specific information of BSF about the presence of terrorists in the area of Gangbug Forest, Kupwara, today a joint operation was launched by BSF and JKP. The successful operation led to the recovery of a huge cache of arms, ammunition and other warlike stores. An Indian Army marks the 40th year of its presence on the strategically significant Siachen Glacier on April 13, 2024. Codenamed Operation Meghdoot, the Indian Army's control over Siachen Glacier has not only been a story of unparalleled valor and determination, but also an incredible journey of technological advancements and logistical improvements that have transformed the glacier from one of the most formidable terrains into a symbol of indomitable spirit and innovation. And in sports, moving on to table tennis now, Indian pair of Manika Batra and Sathiyan Nasekaran failed to secure a Paris Olympic 2024 quota from the World Mixed Double Table Tennis Olympic Qualification Tournament on Friday. The duo was stunned in the quarterfinals by Malaysian pair of Javen Chung and Karen Line, ranked 153rd in the world. The Indian players, ranked 18th in the latest ITTF Mixed Double World Rankings, went down 4-1, which is 11-9, 11-9, 11-9, 7-11, 11-18. This was the Indian duo's second and last chance of securing a Paris Olympic quota after suffering a quarter-final loss in the first knockout round on Thursday. And the Indian women's tennis team beat Republic of Korea 2-1 in the Billie Jean King Cup 2024 Asia Oceania Cup one tie in China on Friday. Rutuja Bhosle registered comfortable 6-2, 6-0 win over world number 301 Sohyun Park. Bhosle won 5 games in a row in the first set to assert a dominance early on. Meanwhile, Ankita Raina along with Pratna Thombare won the double fixture 6-4, 6-4 against Daebin Kim and Sohyun Park. The 2-1 win over North-South Korea was India's third victory in the Asia Oceania Group 1. India are currently second in Pool A with 3 wins and 1 loss. The Indian tennis team will take on New Zealand in their final group match on Saturday. And in IPL, Punjab Kings will lock horns with the Rajasthan Royals on Saturday in the match 27th of the Indian Premier League 2024 in Mohali. Kings has so far had a recent campaign, winning 2 out of the 5 games played. With a narrow defeat in the last game against Sunrisers Hyderabad, the host will be looking to come back stronger and climb up in the points table. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.